to best appreciate the entire um, set of protection that the Constitution guarantees for a person accused of a crime, we must first understand the entirety of the judicial process for criminal cases. This is a macro perspective only, no? For the entire and detailed discussion of the matter, I suggest you refer to lectures on remedial law and criminal procedure. Our focus here is constitutional. So it begins with the understanding that the accused enjoys a chain of rights from the moment that he is taken into custody. He enjoys what you call roughly as the Miranda rights, although we call it in the Philippines as the CIR, the custodial investigation rights. After that, when he is already apprehended, um, he has certain rights when he is proceeded against in the courts of law. And finally, when the decision has become final, he also has some substantive rights protecting him from cruel, unusual, and degrading punishments. No? So let's try to understand. Let's have an overview of the entire judicial process for criminal cases. For most, you have the person's arrest. When the person is arrested by virtue of the instances permitting warrantless arrests, he is apprehended uh, into by law enforcement and subjected to custodial investigation. Before he is, at the moment he is apprehended, he is read his CIR, custodial investigation rights, or what you know as the Miranda rights. This is, as of now, we call this as yung mga rights na binabasa nung police sa accused, the right to remain silent, anything you say can and will be used against you in the court of law, you have the right to a competent counsel and the likes. No? Um, so after he is read his rights, when he is taken into custody for his custodial investigation, he is subjected to what we call as inquest. No? When he is subject to an inquest, he of course enjoys certain rights, substantive rights, including the right against uh, incrimination. No? And well, prior to that, by the way, during the incident of his custodial investigation before his inquest, yung case build up, what happens is he is not to be compelled to give extrajudicial statements or confessions. He has the right to his counsel, of course, as committed in the CIR, and he has also the rights to waive such a right, no, against um, yung confession of his wrongdoing. So anyway, going back to inquest, so is this is actually the preliminary investigation done for warrantless arrests. After preliminary investigation through inquest, um, the prosecutor conducting the examination would prepare and file what you call an information to court, stating the specific instances that constitutes his offense. Um, that is submitted to court, and this is actually what is read to the accused during arraignment. Now, here's another possibility before reaching the point of the filing of the information. This is what you call the regular filing. In the regular filing, an affidavit complaint is filed in the prosecution office, whereby the person accused has also the right to um, file his counter affidavit to at that point answer the charges against him. Once these are consolidated, the prosecutor issues a resolution finding probable cause or the absence thereof. If there's an absence of probable cause, nothing will happen. The case is dismissed. But if there is probable cause, the prosecution will issue the same thing, information. So the information, once it is issued, well, of course, may possibly suggest for instances when bail is a matter of right, issue a statement also as to the recommended amount of bail. No? So he also enjoys the right to bail there for instances when the right to bail is a matter of right, or when it's a matter of discretion, he applies for it with the court so that he can be granted bail. No? At least after he is arrested. No? When he is arrested, of course, he also enjoys the rights of the persons under arrest, no? Including the right to be treated humanely, of course, no? The right to be against unusual or secret detention places or torture and the likes, no? So those are the rights in at the moment that he is arrested, no? So after in the information is filed in court, after he is perhaps arrested, after he has filed for bail, accused is submitted to the arraignment process. In the arraignment process, the primary right there that is given is the right to counsel, no? Because you will be made to plead guilty or not guilty, so you might as well be given the right to know what are the consequences of pleading yung guilt or absence of guilt, not guilty. Right? You as the accused are given counsel by the court. In fact, if you do not have a personal counsel, you call them the counsels de officio. Now, uh, when you are arraigned, is it that you are made to admit guilt? Now, there is no compulsion there. There is no violation of your right against self-incrimination because you could always say that you are not guilty. No, um, you have the right to be informed, and your right to bail remains while you are arraigned. You are if the bail is a matter of right. No, um, again, there are instances when bail is a matter of discretion and when bail should be denied. No, you are asked a question of whether you are guilty or not because at that point you still enjoy the right to be presumed innocent. So okay, here this is um, the point where you are informed of the charges against you in the information because in the information nakalagay doon ang elements of your crime, nakalagay doon yung instances of your commission, and then the specific persons involved. No? Um, and then what specific offense have you violated? This is essential, you will know later on, because this is also a protection against double jeopardy. Because the accused would know if this has already been a charge made against him in the past. No? Aside from the fact that by virtue of being informed, by reading to you your information in arraignment, you are given the chance to know beforehand the charges so that you can prepare your defense for trial. No? Aside from the fact that during arraignment, also the court observes your deportment. So, continue by knowing that after arraignment, there is pretrial. In pretrial, you get to, of course, lay down your cards on the table. This is ancillary to the right to speedy trial because during pretrial, one of the objectives is the expeditious resolve of cases and speedy trial. No? Because you'll be summarizing issues, you'll be stipulating, and you'd be um, simplifying the issues that has to be resolved by the court. No? So this expedites trial because you'll be guided by your pretrial order. So still, at this point, you have still the right to your counsel. You have the right to your against self-incrimination, and all these other rights. No, um, you can there also have a list of your witnesses, and you have also the right there given to know the witnesses of the accuser. So this pretrial is all about transparency, ancillary to your right to confront and present your own witnesses as well. No? So trial proceeds in court. In trial, who presents first is the prosecution kasi sila yung may sumbong, sila yung may complaint. Ano. And then after that, you have your right to present your side also during that time na you are able to present your witnesses. Of course, your witnesses will be also cross-examined by prosecution and as much as during the presentation of the evidence of prosecution, you could also question their witnesses. So here, you have instances also of a reverse trial, no? Where the sequence is reversed, where, for example, in self-defense, you'll know that more of during your lecture in remedial law. So all these rights kick in during trial, and subsequently, when trial has already ended, it is now the time of the court to resolve the case. So at this point, you have also the right to the speedy disposition of cases, different from the right to speedy trial, because this now refers to the time frame wherein the judge should decide cases. The time frame is provided for by law. So once the case has already been decided and you lose your case, you are convicted, you could raise your case for appeal. During appeal, you also still have the right to your counsel, and you have also to remember here that an appeal is not a fundamental right. It's statutory. That's why it should be abided with great detail. No? So that's it. On to the next lecture.